everybody, welcome back to the channel. Growler and he's just out of view, I believe, but he wants fuss. Here today to do a book review. I haven't done one of these for ages, but my friend Snowlock kind of requested this one, or at least helped me decide to do this one. So thank you so much, Snow, for that. It's always great to have video ideas. So I hope everybody's doing well today. Today we are going to be discussing this book, which is called Strange Pictures. Now, as you know, you guys know a lot, I'm on TikTok, if you haven't guessed. I'm kind of getting a bit more back into actually posting on there because I'd stopped for a really long time just because I've been really struggling with it recently. But one of the things that I have been going through a lot of is book reviews from people on TikTok, and this was one of them, Strange Pictures. I can't remember the other two now. Oh my gosh. But this was the one that kind of spoke to me because it's a relatively new author from what I know. He's got a couple more books coming out this year, which I'm super duper looking forward to, especially after reading this one. I'm just going to very quickly read you his synopsis so you can see how cool this guy kind of is. Uketsu is an enigmatic YouTuber and author, specializing in horror and mystery, who has exploded on the literary scene in Japan, where his books have sold millions of copies. He only ever appears online wearing a mask and speaking through a voice changer. His true identity is unknown. Strange houses and strange buildings are also forthcoming from Pushkin Vertigo, which is the company that made this book. There's another book that I'm really interested in getting. I think it's called Takeshi. I saw it basically in Waterstones the other day, and it's the same publisher, and I'm really tempted. They've got some really, really good books that I've been seeing from Japan recently, and I'm a big Japanese horror kind of aficionado. Absolutely adore Ringu, Grudge, Blackwater, all those kind of videos. There's lots of videos out there that I really... Videos, not just, you know, books. Sorry, I had to move Growler. He was trying to eat the book and everything, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, because of reading this book and a singular TikTok video, like I very rarely, most of the time when I see book reviews on TikTok, there's like 5 or 6 of them in a row, or I constantly keep seeing it. I saw this once, and for some weird reason, it stuck with me so much that I was like, I have to give this a go. And I did, and I'm really glad that I do. And now that, obviously, as it says, there's Strange Houses and Strange Buildings is going to be coming up next. I'm really looking forward to those. They're on my waiting list. We're looking forward to those when it turns up. I'm just going to very quickly read you the synopsis for the book, which says, a series of drawings made by a young woman before her death. A child's disturbing picture of his home. A desperate sketch made by a murder victim in his final moments. Growler's back. Each contains a chilling warning. Each reveals a terrible secret hidden in plain sight. Uteksu's eerie mysteries have captivated millions of readers. Can you find the clues in these strange pictures and uncover the sinister truth that connects them all? Now, honestly, I could. There's 4 or 5 different books, mini stories in here that all go together to make the book, and they're all different POVs. After about the 3rd one, I'd kind of figured out what was going on and was like, oh, I was really interested to see how it was going to go. I will say though, this isn't really a horror book for me. I didn't find any of the writing creepy, any of it. It was very much more of a thriller, kind of like the film Vacancy. You know, you're not afraid of what's going on, you're thinking about what's going on. You want to know what's happening, and you're trying to come to conclusions and figure out how it's going to go down and what the plot points are and how things are going to work. If they're going to work out the way that you think they are, you're excited for that. So it's kind of more of a psychological thriller. I wouldn't say this is a horror. Unless you're like scared of psychological thrillers, then you might not enjoy this. But it's kind of more tame. It's really good. It's very intriguing. It's a crime as well. So if you like that kind of thing, you're gonna love this book. As it's one of those ones that, even though they've said it's more horror, it's very much leaning into the crime and mystery side of things, and the who done it and the what done it and how it happened kind of things, which is something that I don't normally like. I have very recently, I've had to stop reading quite a few crime thrillers that I read that were originally said to be horrors, because they were much more designed to be trauma dumping. And I will read books that have trigger warnings in them. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh no, books shouldn't have trigger warnings. They so should. For example, there's a book called actually I can't remember the name of it now. Yes I can. The Gateway Killer or something along those lines, and it just had a gratuitous sexual assault scene in it. And the woman is blamed for it by everybody, and the person who goes on to do the serial killing blames her for getting his son like put in prison, and he gets killed in prison. So his father blames her and goes off on a murder spree until he realizes that she was right, that he did actually her and do horrible things, and he was really not very nice to her, but he still ruins her life because of that, because she'd never told anyone, because she couldn't deal with the trauma. But the author was so gratuitous with that particular scene, I couldn't finish reading the book. I read halfway through that scene, couldn't cope with it anymore, skipped to the end, read what happened, and went, okay, I don't care how this happened, I can't read this. If you don't, none of that is in here. This is amazing. This book was so edge of your seat. I read it during about 3 lunch breaks, which people may be like, oh, that means it's a really quick read. No, I read really quick. I know that I'm dyslexic, but I do read these kind of things really quick, which is another point. This book, if you are someone who is dyslexic, I don't know if it's the way they've printed it. I'll see if I can show you the way they've printed it. It's beautiful. It was so quick to read, and sprinkled throughout there's all sorts of artwork and things like that. So for example, I'm just going to show you the front picture. That's obviously the front, and there is more in the back, and then there's more sprinkled throughout, and all of it kind of details and goes into what's going on. But there's also things like train timetables, menus and things like that, which all link into the story, and it's in here presented as a menu, as a train timetable, as a mathematic equation. I'm really good with algebra. I really love algebra. I'm really but I'm crap at any other type of maths. So that was really useful for me, and I think that this was really, really, really good to read. There are going to be horror moments in this. There is horror moments in this. There's a murder scene. There's a couple of murder scenes which are quite graphic, but they are introduced in such a nice way that they didn't feel gratuitous. That's a really weird thing to say, but just like Battle Royale, I really love that film, and I do kind of enjoy the manga. I haven't read the book yet. Did you know it's a book? I didn't know it was a book, and I found out because there's a section for these kind of books in Waterstones now, and that was there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to pick that up at some point, but just not right now. And the manga is like gratuitous. I would say like that's gratuitous, but the film not so much. It's graphic, but it's not overimposed, if that makes sense. So if you want a quick book that you're going to be able to read really and it's going to be really nice and really fun, this will be for you. If you're like a quick reader, someone who read Lord of the Rings in a week, you're going to be able to read this in an afternoon. It's perfect for that kind of thing if that's what you want. Now I'm going to get into the spoilery kind of section, so if that's something that you don't want to do because you want to read this yourself, please skip to the end, the last 30 seconds. I will try and remember to put timestamp in, but I always forget because I'm a very busy person. So essentially it starts off with there is a drawing, a psychological drawing. It's the only other drawing I'm going to show you guys. There we go. And it's a little girl who has ended the life of her mother. And as you go through the story, every single one links back to that little girl, even when you don't understand, because one of them's a student that just wants to figure out what happened to his mentor in art, and it turns out that they were murdered, obviously, and he gets murdered in the same way that his mentor does, by the same person, and it becomes a serial kind of killer thing. And there's a child involved, and the child likes to draw, and he refers to his grandmother as mother because his mother died, and it turns out that his mother was also murdered, and that his father ended up dying quite young because he didn't like what was going on and all sorts of things like that. But they all link back to that little girl in the beginning, which turns out is the grandmother of the boy that was is the first child in the story. It is such a really good book. There's so many like hints of stranger danger, crime thriller, horror at how people die, psychology of how people react to things and how people break down when they're mistreated and abused. It is such a good book, and if you get a chance to read it, I do recommend it. I am also going to recommend Strange Buildings and Strange Houses when they come out. I don't know when they are yet because obviously they keep changing with the way the world is working at the moment. But as always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much to Snowlock for requesting it. As always, take care, have fun, and I'll see you next time.